The 2025 Belgian Grand Prix is shaping up to be one of the most pivotal and consequential weekends of the current Formula One season for Ferrari. The long-awaited and carefully developed debut of their significantly updated rear suspension system will determine whether the Ferrari SF-25 can sufficiently close the existing performance gap to the highly competitive McLaren team. This will show whether the Italian side can become a realistic contender for at least a few race victories before the conclusion of the championship. The extreme compression that occurs as the car passes through the legendary Eau Rouge-Raidillon complex at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit will be the ultimate test. It will be crucial in evaluating whether the revised rear end of the SF-25 improves ride height management, currently one of the most significant technical weaknesses of Ferrari's 2025 Formula One design. The primary and explicit objective of the new rear suspension system is to address and resolve the long-standing issues related to controlling the car's ride height and platform stability. These problems first became apparent during the Chinese Grand Prix earlier in the season, when seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari was disqualified from the final classification due to excessive wear on the underfloor plank of his SF-25. Controlling the ride height of the aerodynamic platform in ground-effect Formula One cars is a delicate and complex balancing act. Teams must prevent the car from bottoming out excessively under load while avoiding the need for excessively stiff mechanical configurations, which could compromise performance. A rear end that is too stiff mechanically can negatively affect overall aerodynamic balance and also reduce mechanical grip in low-speed corners. This issue has been evident in the SF-25, which has struggled particularly with traction during corner exit phases in slower corners throughout the first half of the championship campaign. For this reason, the technical department of Ferrari, based at the Maranello headquarters in Italy, chose to focus its engineering efforts on this strategically important area. With modern Formula One cars that rely on ground-effect aerodynamics, it is estimated that each millimeter the car can be lowered in terms of static ride height could result in a lap time improvement of approximately half a tenth of a second. Lowering the ride height allows the car to make better use of ground-effect airflow, thereby generating increased aerodynamic downforce from the floor of the car. It is important to note that the Ferrari engineers and technicians have not opted to reverse its pull rod rear suspension layout in favor of a pushrod configuration, primarily due to the structural and packaging constraints associated with the current transmission layout. However, both McLaren and Mercedes have previously demonstrated that it is feasible to modify certain suspension attachment points in a way that influences both the suspension kinematics and external aerodynamic performance. Ferrari will only be required to declare visual and externally visible updates during the race weekend, meaning that changes to internal components, such as suspension linkages, rockers, and damper mechanisms, can remain undisclosed. These elements are of particular interest because they could potentially be integrated into or influence the design philosophy of the 2026 Formula One project, which is already under development at Maranello. The Italian team is fully aware that this is not an upgrade package that will deliver immediate or guaranteed performance gains. The updated suspension requires careful calibration and fine-tuning to understand how to set key parameters, such as mechanical stiffness and ride height. This calibration is necessary to extract the maximum benefit from the revised package, while also maintaining the overall aerodynamic and mechanical balance of the SF-25. Issues encountered earlier this year have made it clear that, despite all the simulation work and use of dynamic test benches, the true behavior of the rear suspension system can only be reliably verified during real-world track testing sessions. Complicating matters further is the return of the sprint race format at the Belgian Grand Prix, which allows for only a single free practice session before parc fermé rules take effect. This greatly limits the Maranello team's time to evaluate and optimize the new setup on track. To work around this limitation, Ferrari decided to take advantage of the 200 kilometers permitted under FIA regulations for promotional filming purposes. The team scheduled a second filming day at the Mugello circuit, a track owned by Ferrari and located in the region of Tuscany, Italy. Mugello was chosen specifically because it shares several key characteristics with Spa-Francorchamps. Both circuits feature high-speed corners, aggressive elevation changes, and sections that place extreme demands on ride height management and underfloor wear. Mugello's layout includes numerous fast bends and high-speed directional changes that push the car down into the tarmac, making it ideal for replicating the compressive forces that will be experienced at Spa. In particular, the steep climb through the Arrabbiata corners at Mugello subjects the SF-25 to significant vertical loads, mimicking the even more violent compression that occurs through Eau Rouge. These sections will be critical for evaluating floor wear and how well the car maintains aerodynamic efficiency under load. As outlined in the team's schedule, Ferrari successfully completed the full 200-kilometer distance allowed for the Mugello filming day, equivalent to just under 40 laps of the Tuscan circuit. Charles Leclerc was the first to take to the track in the morning session, driving the Ferrari SF-25 fitted with the modified rear suspension components. In the afternoon session, the car was handed over to Lewis Hamilton. The two Ferrari drivers evenly divided the mileage, as stipulated by the rules governing promotional events. As explained, the fundamental objective of the work done at the Maranello factory was to allow the team to better manage and control the static and dynamic ride height of the car. This would consequently enable a broader and more effective operating window for the SF-25's entire aerodynamic platform. The new suspension system was conceived to improve rear-end stability under braking, one of the chronic weaknesses of the current 2025 Ferrari SF-25 package, and to widen the usable window for the Pirelli tires under varying temperature and load conditions. Visual inspections at Mugello revealed revised geometry in the upper suspension arms. These included new attachment points to the chassis, as well as adjustments to internal mechanical components. According to various Italian news media outlets, Ferrari's new technical director, Loic Serra, was present in the team's garage during the test session to directly supervise the program. The Italian media also reported initial feedback on the revised rear suspension concept. While Charles Leclerc reportedly did not feel a dramatic difference in handling with the new system, the dynamic test bench data and telemetry collected during the Mugello session confirmed that the new design had passed internal validation criteria and would indeed be brought to the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps. Ultimately, the real measure of whether this new rear suspension upgrade is effective will only come during the race weekend in the Ardennes. Special attention will be paid to the SF-25's performance through the fastest corners of the Spa circuit, particularly the high-speed downhill Pouhon turn, as well as the car's handling and balance in slower speed corners and transitions. One of the main challenges will be distinguishing between Ferrari's usual performance in high-speed corners, which has been a known strength of the SF-25 throughout the 2025 season, and any additional performance gains resulting specifically from the new suspension system. It is important not to have unrealistic expectations. It would be overly optimistic to believe that this update alone could close the entire technical performance gap between Ferrari and McLaren, a rival team whose 2025 car is an extremely well-rounded and versatile package, which has given Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri a clear advantage so far. Nonetheless, the technical updates introduced and studied at Maranello could help the SF-25 maximize its existing strengths. These improvements might be especially beneficial on circuits that align with the car's characteristics, such as the Monza, where Ferrari could realistically aspire to fight for victory. On such tracks, where low drag and high-speed balance are key, a race win may well be within reach for the Italian team.